All right. Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies. It is good to be here this afternoon for this presentation. Thank you for your inviting me as a guest speaker on this presentation. So my name is Surveyor Adewale Baleamin Salimon, MNIS, the Principal Surveyor CEO Bala Geotechnics Global Impact Limited. So I'll be presenting this afternoon on the managing surveying data within the geographic information system environment. So the keywords here are surveying management, GIS, and environment. So introduction. Survey, according to Oxford Advanced Learner Dictionary, is defined as act of examining and recording the measurement features it is of an area of land in order to make map or plan of it. So surveying, according to Wikipedia, is defined as technique, profession, art, and science of determining the terrestrial or three-dimensional positions of points and the distances and angles between them. So management is the coordination and administration of tasks to achieve a goal. Surveying has been an element in the development of the human environment since the beginning of recorded history. So I now go to the history of surveying, the geospatial industry. Surveying has occurred since humans built the first large structures. In ancient Egypt, a rope stretcher will use simple geometry to re-establish boundaries after the annual floods of the Nile River. The almost perfect squareness and north-south orientation of the Great Pyramid of Giza, built 270 BC, affirmed the Egyptians' command of surveying. So from this, we all agree with me that surveying has been a profession that has been existing since the existence of human race. So it's a profession that is so germane to the existence of human and then our day-to-day activity, as there is no field of human race that where surveying is not useful. So I go ahead. So surveying became a professional occupation in high demand at the turn of the 19th century with the onset of industrial revolution. The profession developed more accurate instruments to aid its work. So now I go to the how surveying equipment evolved. So at the beginning of 20th century, surveyors had improved the older chains and ropes, but still faced the problem of accurate measurements of long distances. Therefore, telemeter was developed in the 1950s to measure long distances using two microwave transmitter and receivers. Electronic distance measurement, EDM equipment, was also developed during the same period, that's in the 50s. So the instruments saved the need for days or weeks of chain measurements between points that might be kilometers apart in one go. Like, give an example, if you want to do geodetic, if you are establishing geodetic points. Hello, am I on?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Like, if I start geodetic points, the framework of geodetic points are the primary control networks. So what was used in those days was they used hills, the high elevated positions. Like I have a hill in Ibadan. Maybe there's another hill in Akure. There's another one in Jos. So if I have points on those hills, and I need to connect those points together by way of measurement. So it won't be easy for me to start drawing chain from here to Akure. Therefore, that time the development of telorimeter, geodemeter, and all that helped in the measurement of distances. All this now developed into what we call the first instrument combining angle and distances, known as total station, evolved in the 1970s. This brings about improvements in accuracy and speed of measurements. So the time total station came up, so now that combined the measurement of angles and distances. So it now simplified the work further. So also the first positioning satellites for the Global Positioning System, GPS, was launched in the 1978. GPS thereby provide more accurate positioning. So that's how the survey equipment evolved. Now we are in the 21st century now. We have different systems now that have come up. So part of it is the remote sensing and satellite imagery. This continues to improve and become cheaper, allowing commonplace uses. Prominent new technologies include three-dimensional 3D scanning and use of LiDAR for topographic survey. UAV technology along with photogrammetric image processing is becoming more popular. So as the thing is evolving, now we're having more technological advancements, and then the availability of equipment are getting more better. So now data are now becoming more. Like as more locational related data becomes available, the use and scope of geospatial analysis is going down dramatically. As more geospatial data becomes available to more than the typical geospatial professional, it is finding its place within the larger community. So geospatial data is evolving from data to what is referred to as content, which is more about the logical organization and improved accessibility of various types of structured and unstructured electronic information. There are a couple of elements that make our industry unique. One of the things that makes geospatial industry unique is geospatial data or geospatial reference content. And the other comprises the theories and algorithms inherent in extracting, managing, analyzing, and visualizing the spatial data. And you all agree with me that never in the history before has the value of where been more pronounced with the outbreak of the pandemic globally. I think we all agree with me that now with the pandemic, everybody is now interested in, okay, where is it happening? Where is this? Where is that? So now we are becoming more relevant in the field of human endeavor. So I go to the administration of surveying in Nigeria. The Survey Coordination Act of 1962 vested the power to administer the survey activity in Nigeria in the Director of Federal Survey. The Act of 1962 stated thus: no survey work within the meaning of this Act shall be carried out unless the person responsible for carrying out the work has given to the Director of Federal Survey not less than 3 months, then next preceding the day on which the work commences, or such shorter period as the director may allow. We all agree with me that even though it may work at that time, but it's that 3 month notice will not be because of the speed and the rate at which we want our work done these days. So no one will want to wait for 3 months, but there is improvement this time around. So now that power that was vested in the Director of Federal Survey is now with the Office of the Surveyor General of the Federation for the coordination of survey activity in the country. So now the Surveyor General of the Federation is now responsible for overseeing the office is responsible for undertaking vital surveys, providing maps and other geographic data that are required for the development of long-term strategies in national defense and security. It also generates prudent plans for the exploration, exploitation, management of minerals and other national resources, sustainable environmental protection, and conservation plans, and define international and interstate boundaries of the country. Surveying and mapping products are also required to facilitate the design and location of roads, railways, power transmission lines, telecommunication lines, and other infrastructures, and for the cadastral system to support the urban development and the provision of housing for the masses. So availability and management of spatial data. Now, spatial data now, as it's becoming more popular, and then the need for it is getting increased daily. So there is need for proper management of data, which is there is need to develop the national geographic geospatial data infrastructure. That means, I mean that any activity you are doing, you should bear in mind that as you are acquiring your data, it's supposed to serve the purpose that whoever that wants to use it later can be used, can access it, and you'll be sure that is correct. What I mean by this is that the geospatial experts need to ensure that if you are carrying out any activity, you have to report back to the appropriate quarter, and maybe as you conclude your work, you have to make the data available to the office that coordinate the activity of survey in the nation now. So I mean the Office of Survey General of the Federation, so that we develop the attitude of do it once and use many times. We don't have to do, okay, like I have a road to survey now. If I'm doing my survey, I should have it at the back of my mind that I'm doing it not just for the purpose at which I need it for that moment. If I do it, I should be able to get all the information that is inherent with that road. That means, okay, let's assume that we are designing a road for maybe designing for construction. But as you are designing for construction, you must make available the all the infrastructure that we require. That okay, later in future there may be need to lay some lines. So you have to ensure that you provide the maybe service duct. When you have your service duct, so whoever that is going to lay any cable later in future, you have to be your data, your survey data must show where the service duct is. So whoever that is laying the cable later in future don't have to bore the road or start cutting the road. So once your information shows where the duct is, whoever that wants to do anything will have to go to the maybe Office of Survey General and ask for the information of about that road. So they can easily locate where the ducts are and then put their cables through there. So there are the attitude of having to destroy one infrastructure to lay another one. I'll give an example. They were trying to lay some pipeline in within Oyo State in the past few years. In the process, so many roads were cut. And you know, once you tamper with a road at any point, even if you say you are patching it back, it can never be the same as it was originally. So once you create any duct, you've damaged that infrastructure. That means you are destroying one to put another one. Actually, what they are doing is good. They want to lay pipeline for water supply, but they are destroying another infrastructure. If all those provisions have been made from onset when the road is being designed, so they will have made provision for where the line is going to pass. And then if at all it has to cross road at any point, there must have been maybe you provide coverts, or if it may even be bridge. You must have put all those things there. And the information must be adequately captured and lodged with the appropriate office. So whoever that needs can easily access it there. So that's the one of the idea of the national data infrastructure. So once I've done the survey of the road, I have the topography, I have all the information about the road. By the time they want to lay the pipeline, there's no need to go back and go and resurvey the road. So far that information is there and can be accessed. So that's why we have to make sure when you are doing it, you must make sure that you do a proper work, that you can guarantee, that you can vouch for, that this can be used by any other user that need it, and they be sure that what they are assessing is correct. So that's about that. So all the agency that is saddled with the responsibility of getting all those things in place has to be up and doing. So um, I think spatial data infrastructure is of great importance, and it will really help in getting. Also, we don't have to waste our resources over and over again to get the same information on any particular infrastructure we are trying to develop. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very, very much, Xavier. Suleiman, we'll still love
Sorry.
to have you still online, as we'll be
All right.
having questions that will be fielded in from our participants. But before we get into that, I would like to welcome one of our speakers who will be taking us through um, a little demo. He's by name Clement. He's a GIS analyst and a developer. Welcome, Clement. You're welcome on board.
Another person is presenting. So, John. So, John.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Tessini. Uh, as Tessini has said, I'm going to be presenting a demonstration on how we can easily manage survey data within a GIS environment. So I'm going to share my screen. From the poll that we created earlier, we have 3 responses. Can we quickly check the meeting chat and answer the poll? A poll is posted there. There is a question about your experience with ArcGIS. It would be very nice if I know how experienced you have with the software, so that I will know how to uh, direct my presentation. For the next 3 minutes, let's quickly check the meeting chat and answer the poll that was posted earlier. If you cannot see the poll, just scroll up. You will see the poll.
Not available, especially on the phone. Maybe she'll let us know where we can find it.
And please, if you are not presenting, kindly mute your mic and your video.
Okay, a participant is just asking that if you are using a mobile device, he or she cannot see the poll. I think from your mobile device, you will have to look out for an icon that has to do with conversation. So once you click on that, you'll be able to see the meeting chat. Then you can scroll up and you will be able to send in your poll. Clement, I think you can please go ahead because of time constraint. So you can please go ahead while other participants go ahead also in answering the polls. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen now. So can one or two people specify if they can see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, good. So quickly, I'm going to be demonstrating how we can make this kind of survey on ArcGIS. You know, usually you use AutoCAD to draw this kind of plan, but we can actually achieve this same plan using ArcGIS. So quickly, I'll create a new map document, and I want to save it in a folder I already created using a geodatabase I already created earlier. So, and I will just click OK. So the survey is subtitled. I'm going to save it and give it a name. So I will use save, then I'll save it as survey 2 because I already have a file name survey there. So the next thing I'm going to do is to set my map unit and the coordinate system. This survey plan is for a place in Ogun State. So if we are familiar with the Universal Traverse Mercator, there are 3 zones in Nigeria. So if you are working within some states, you have to use the specific zone for that state for you to achieve a level of desired accuracy. So the plan is in Ogun State, so I'll be using UTM zone 31 node. So I will update my data frame properties. I'll change the units to meters. And the coordinate system, I will change it to a projected coordinate system and select the UTM zone 31. So once that is done, I will use my catalog to create a feature, and I will name it Passus. Continue. I'll specify the coordinates. The zone 31 has been selected for me, and next. Then I will specify some attributes that I want here, like the name of the owner. I will make it a text, the name of the control beacon, will also make it a test, and I can add as many as possible attributes as I want. So once I have that, I have parcels 1 in my table of content. So the next thing I'm going to do is to start editing by using start editing. So from the editor toolbar, I want to use traversing to traverse this lang parcel. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go to the editing options and make sure I have north azimuth here, and my direction units is in degree meter second. So once I have that, I'll click on OK. So now there are some methods you can use to draw this particular parcel. So I can start by saying create features, then I'll select the parcel. I can right click and use absolute X and Y. Now don't forget the X and Y. The longitudes are the X, while the latitudes are the Y. So for X, I have my 552.014.311 meters east. If you check this drop down, you see that my unit is a meters already because I already set it from the data frame properties. Then for the Y, I will put 758602.654. So once I do that, I'll press enter and the point will be added for me. So after doing this, I right click and I will use direction and length. So here, this is the control beacon here. The name of the beacon is SC/0G-Y7614BB. So the bearing of the next beacon, which is here, this is the next beacon here. So this is the next beacon here, and the bearing and distance is 146 and 26 minutes, and the distance is 36 meters. So I'll press enter and the line will be drawn for me. So I'm going to change my scale to 1 to 500 so that it's going to appear. So we can see that the line has been drawn. This thing has disappeared again. So let me just maintain full screen and I will zoom in again. So we have the line here, and the next one The next one is 236 degree 26 minutes. So I'll right click again and use direction length. And the distance is 19 meters. So we have that boundary drawn, and the next is 326 degrees and 26 minutes. And the distance is 36 meters. So once this is done, I already have a representation of the parcel now within my GIS environment. So I'm going to complete this sketch using finish sketch or just pressing F2. And after doing that, can update the attributes of these fields. From the poll, some of us, there are no novice in this webinar, so I believe we all know the process of creating and editing pictures. So this is the first method you can use to draw this plan. So another method is to use the traversing option. So to use that, you are going to use more editing tools, and you are going to click on the Kogo to open the Kogo toolbar. So Kogo means coordinate geometry. I believe I'll be familiar with that. So on the Kogo toolbar, you have traverse and you have control point line and other tools that you can use. So I can use traverse to draw this same feature. So what I'm going to do is to make sure the parcel is selected here, and I will start by adding a point where I want to start. So for this parcel, the start point was here. So because I already have this polygon, that's why I click on here. But if I don't already have this polygon, I can use this option, this start option, to specify where I want the polygon to start from. That's the control point. So I can use this to specify the control point by using the edit and putting the X and Y just like I did before. And I can also use this by clicking a point on the map to make it the start point. So you can see that the coordinate is updated here automatically. So after doing that, I can now start adding the direction and length of all these sides of the polygon, and everything will be drawn here by just saying the first one was 146 minus 26, 146, 26, and the length was 36 meters. So once I click add, that line will be drawn. So I will just repeat this process for all other sides. 236, 26. This one is drawn as well. Then the next one is drawn. So if it's a large area of land that doesn't have a regular shape like this, you can also specify where you want the point to end by specifying this. So if it's a closed loop, you can also click on this so that it will know that it's going to end here automatically. So that's that. I have the two features here already. So the next thing we can do is to now prepare our survey report Now, preparing the survey report, there are some things that might be interesting to us to have on our survey report. Like this survey now, we have plans showing property of so person and some other information. So to do that, I will quickly switch to a survey that I already drew earlier so that we can work faster. So this is the plan that I just drew on the other document, and I added some other information like the control beacons. Then I added in here. The next thing to do first, the paths are displayed properly, and I'm going to make sure I'm using the illegible labeling and positioning, which is then the color, how I want the boundaries to appear, how I want the points to appear, and the roads, which is called symbology. So to do that, I'm going to start with the beacons.
Can you please share the other screen? The previous screen we are working. Okay, great.
Yeah,
Thank you. Screen now.
Oh, okay. So I have this survey plan here of a layer, and for the beacons, I want to change this symbol. I want to use something like this. And okay, so all the beacons are displaying. We can see the attribute table. This information were just filled at random. So some are repetition and some are just guessworks. So this is the data we'll be using for this other part of the demonstration. Then the next thing I want to do is the road, how the road is drawn. I'll click on this and I can specify the width of the road to, let's say, 10 meters. And I'll edit the symbol. Okay. So we have the road now displaying. So it remains the label. So for the label, I'll just use label feature. And we can see that the label has been placed as existing road. That's the name I give the road. And I can also specify how this label is placed on this road by going to the labels, then placement properties. So I want it to be on the line. So we can see the label is there, but it's not big enough. So I can change the size to make it bigger. And I have existing road. Perfect. So now the next thing I want to do is the labeling for these parcels. I don't want a background for the parcels. And let me make this one. So we have this. So to do that, we can see that in this parcel, each boundary has its own label properties. It has a label on the right hand, a label on the left. So I want to achieve that same thing here. I'm going to do something which is called converting from polygon to lines. So I will convert the polygon to line. It should be here. Conversion tools and so fissure to line. So I will use this tool to convert this polygon into line fissures. So I'm going to add the parcels. And I'm going to save it as boundaries. So I have the boundaries, and you can see when I turn off the parcel, the boundaries are still showing. So going forward, I will be working with this band. So the next thing I want to do is I want to specify some coordinate geometric fields. So there I'll go to the property, and for the feeds, I want to add 2 new feeds. So we can see the feeds that are present for each of these boundaries. When I converted the polygon to lines, all the attributes from the polygon will be transferred to the facial class automatically. So I want to add 2 new feeds for the coordinate geometry, which is the direction and the distance. So when I use direction, the system automatically recognizes that I want to put direction attributes in that column. And I will add another one and name it distance. So if I scroll to the end, I will see the 2 fields that I have created. So the next thing I'm going to do is to select all the features in the boundaries. And convert them to Kogo lines. So to do that, I will just select all the points, then If I go to the Kogo toolbar, I will say split into Kogo lines. So I'll click on this and click OK. So we can see from the attribute that the direction and distance were calculated automatically. So the next thing I'm going to do is to label the boundaries by using label features, then specifying the template to label it. We are running out of time, so I'm quickly going to stop this demonstration in some few minutes. Then I will show another document where I already have a completed work so that we can see how to use data-driven pages to actually print the layout and get the attributes from each of the features when you want to print. So this one, I can specify where I want to place it below the line. So we have the labeling on both sides of the feature. So we can also specify to place just a single label per feature and some other configurations. So,
All right, Clement, you're actually running out of time. So can you show us directly the results you have?
you can just go ahead and attend to questions while I pull up this document.
Okay, thank you very much, Clement. Fellow participants, I believe we had a wonderful time from the beginning and up to this point at which we are. So I would like to know if you have questions. We'll be able to entertain 2 questions. You can just raise a hand or drop a message in the chat box so that our guest speaker can be able to answer your question. Or if your question is on the demo, we have Clement still online who will be able to answer your questions directly. So please, if you have a question, you can raise your hand or you can turn on your mic. Okay, I have Ali Mohammed. Can you please switch on your mic and ask your question? Ali Mohammed.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, my question is, what if we obtain only the coordinate that we have? Can we actually plot it on the arc map? Maybe like a point beacon. We have like 4 beacons and you obtain the coordinate with your GPS. Can you actually plot it on arc map and get the bearing and distance directly?
Great. Clement, did you get the question? Clement, Mr. Mohammed is asking, did you get the question, please? Hello, Clement, are you there? Hello, Clement.
Did you get my question?
I think think Clement is having some issues right now. But I think we have taken note of your question. Once he's back, we'll be able to answer your question. Do we have any other person who has a question for Surveyor?
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Actually, I want to thank the convener for the wonderful presentation. I just want to ask if they can make the video of the webinar available for the participants. That's just my question, sir.
Okay, great. If you registered and we have your email address on the database, you would be able to have a copy of the recording. And if you did not register, maybe you just had a link, you can as well drop your email address and then we'll forward the recording to you as well. Thank you. Clement, are you there? Hello, Clement.
Yes, Tiffany, I'm here. I'm sharing my screen now. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Okay, can you please hold on that yet? Mr. Aliyu Mohammed asked a question, and I think Mr. Aliyu, can you please rephrase so that Clement can hear you better?
Okay, sir. My question is that if you obtain coordinates from the field directly with your GPS, without having the hard copy plan as the Angular has demonstrated, can we actually plot it directly on ArcMap and then be able to add directions and distance? That's my question.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. I believe when you go for a survey, you have a means of maybe writing down the data as you are recording the coordinates, your control coordinates, and the bearing and distance of each and every other beacons that you have. You already have the bearing of beacon A or beacon B from beacon A, as well as the distance. So I believe from your Recce diagram, for instance, you have all those information. So instead of putting it and start drawing it manually on some other software, you can actually use ArcGIS just the way I have demonstrated it by just typing in those points. You don't have to draw the lines. You don't have to worry if it's straight or not. The system is going to assist you in drawing the boundaries. So yes, you can get the parcel drawn on ArcGIS, but ArcGIS will not just bring all those bearing and distances for you like randomly. You have to put in at least your control coordinates. Also, if you have only the coordinates of each of the boundaries, for instance, like each of the edges, you can also plot the only and just draw polygons along the vertices. So after drawing the polygon, you convert it to lines and then you import it into Kogo lines. So provided you have specified the direction and distance fields in your attribute table, Kogo will generate the bearing and distances for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think that's clear enough.
Sir, it's clear enough. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. We have one more question from Mr. Mohammed Ashad. He is asking, a single polygon was digitized first, and then it was splitted via Kogo tool. Is that correct? That's a question from Mohammed Ashad.
Yes, you draw a polygon, that's for the parcel. Then you split the polygon into, you convert the polygon from a polygon to lines so that you can have each boundary as a separate line. though they share the same vertices, the same nodes, their nodes are connected, but you want to relate with each boundary as a single entity. So yes, the polygon was drawn first and then it was converted into lines. So after doing that, then you import it into Kobo.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Victor Taria. Victor Taria is asking, how do you get the bearing displayed on the map? He's talking about the bearings and distances. How do you get them displayed on the map? Briefly, please.
Okay, to get them displayed on the map,
Yes.
what I first did was that I converted those lines into Google lines. And because I have specified the bearing, the direction and distance columns in my attribute table, I was able to get those values in the attribute table. So to get them displayed on the map, what you are going to do is to just enable labeling. So that's how to do that.
Thank you very much, Clement. Do you have any other question? We would like to take the last question before we go. Any other question? Okay, with the absence of none, we want to thank you so much. We want to appreciate having time with us. As you have seen in the chat, we are going to be sending a copy of the recording as soon as it is ready. And so we will continue with this some other time, and you also be part of our mailing list as soon as we are ready to continue and then show you other parts of how surveyors can actually work with their data in a GIS environment. With this, I would like to appreciate our guest speaker, Surveyor Salomon. We thank you very much. We want to also thank Mr. Clement, who has really done a very good job. Thank you very much, everyone. We now come to the end of this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.